Creating a charcoal earth burn. In today's video, I'm attempting to build my own charcoal earth burn for a traditional method of making charcoal. Charcoal is made by heating wood to 600 degrees Celsius, 1100 Fahrenheit, to remove the moisture from the wood, whilst restricting the oxygen so it does not fully burn up, leaving the charcoal behind. I start by clearing the ground to make a space to easily stack the wood, and provide some cuttings to help smother the heap to reduce the oxygen intake. I have some oak and hawthorn which I acquired from pruning last winter. These are both hardwoods which are good for making charcoal. I have seasoned the wood under tarpaulin for 6 months. Ideally I would have done this for longer to remove more of the moisture, quickening that charcoal making process. However, I was too eager to try making charcoal and didn't want to wait. To build the stack, I first create a chimney, which I can use to help control the amount of oxygen which gets into the heap. I do this by driving some vertical stakes into the ground in a circle. I then pile the remaining wood around the chimney in a pyramid shape. After making the stack, I cover it with mulch and then pile earth on top. This will restrict the oxygen getting into it, allowing me to control the burn. I decided to create a ditch around the stack as an additional safety measure. I cover the stack with a tarpaulin to keep it dry from the rain. Time to start a fire. Silver birch bark makes great tinder. I collect dry grass, sorrel and dock stalks to keep the tinder burning for a little longer. Small twigs act as kindling, which are ignited by the burning tinder. We can then add the fuel, the main branches which are used to feed the fire and keep it burning for a long time. I place some tinder and kindling in the buried log heap. I then create a torch made from dry grasses and sorrel stalks to transfer the fire to the main stack. It took a few attempts to get the stack lit. I found that adding a couple of ventilation holes in the side helped it to get started, and I used a mat as a bellows until it built up sufficient heat to keep itself lit. So why would people want to go to so much effort to make charcoal? Firstly, charcoal burns at a much hotter temperature than wood. It burns at 1100 degrees Celsius, close to the melting point of iron. This is excellent for blacksmiths who need a much hotter forge. It's also been used in medicinal purposes, and it can be used in toothpaste because that's alkaline properties. You can also use it in water filters because it's got large gaps within it, which allows water to filter through, but it collects other materials that you don't want in your water. Lastly, it's been put into the soil as biochar to improve the fertility of a soil. This is a potential solution for the future, as large-scale farming, intensive farming, has ruined the lands and has allowed the soils to erode over time. Putting biochar into the soil will reinvigorate them and give it nutrients to rejuvenate our crops. I left the chimney and ventilation holes open for a bit and did some scything whilst I let the heat grow. This was a mistake, as the pile caught alight and I had to rush back and throw lots of earth and grass over the heap. In my frantic attempts to cut off the oxygen, I lost my phone, and so I've not filmed the start of the rescue. A professional charcoal burner is able to tell the heat in the stack by the colour of the smoke emitted. If the smoke turns blue, then the charcoal is burning, and you need to reduce the amount of oxygen entering the stack and cool it using water. I am not a professional charcoal burner, and am not yet acquired the ability to see which shade of grey smoke has a slightly bluer hue. Due to this, I think I have let too much oxygen enter the stack, reducing the amount of charcoal produced. So the charcoal is all buried now. It's going to be smothered by the earth. It's still very hot on the inside, so we're going to have to wait a few days for that to completely cool down. Hopefully when it does cool down, then we'll have some charcoal inside. So let's get forward to a few days later. I make a hole in the stack and pour in water to quickly reduce the heat. I then remove the earth to reveal the charcoal within. A professional charcoal maker should make around 1 unit weight of charcoal for every 6 units of wood. I have obviously had some overheating issues, as a lot of my charcoal has turned to ash, especially where I had the ventilation holes, so it looks like I should have blocked up the ventilation holes sooner. However, after a bit of searching, I managed to find a fair amount of charcoal. Let me know in the comments if you have made charcoal yourself and have any tips for getting a higher efficiency, both to help others and so I can have another attempt myself. I now have charcoal to use as biochar to help the plants, as a fuel that burns longer and hotter than wood, or as a drawing medium for artwork. Thank you for watching. Hit the like button if this is content that you are interested in, and I'll try to make similar videos in future. See you next time. So as you can tell, I'm not an artist, but the charcoal worked quite well. So yes, it seemed to have worked. And if I was a 5-year-old, I'd be quite happy with that picture.